Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the J Lounge. Of course, you guys know I'm your hostess with the mostest, Miss J, aka Miss Simone Jackson. Always here to bring you guys another great episode of the J Lounge. Of course, you guys know out there, the J Lounge is where we have amazing conversations with people in the entertainment industry, whether it's actors, artists, filmmakers, directors, you name it. We all come down here. And they all talk with me. So I am very, very, very excited to be introducing you guys to my next guest. She is an amazing actor, singer, photographer, writer, producer. She also is the founder of Women of Color in Film. She has an amazing, amazing resume to her, and I cannot wait to hear her story and more about her work. Everyone, please give a warm welcome to Landi Maduro. Hi, Landi.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Oh, it's my honor to have you on the show. I appreciate you giving me your time and being here. We are excited to definitely be talking with you today.
I'm excited to be here.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
absolutely, absolutely. All right, Ms. Landi, I'm gonna go ahead and fire the first question at you. You had the honor of actually showcasing some of your filmmaking work to Congress. Not only do I want to know how was that experience like for you, but what began this road of filmmaking and what in directing for you.
Oh, sure. So, well, in regards to that, I did a documentary about prostate cancer in the African American community because in the Black community, prostate cancer attacks African American men at younger ages and more aggressive forms of disease. So, this movie, it became it was supposed to be just a documentary, and it became this movement because to get the movie out there, I had reached out to nonprofits and other organizations just to help me spread the word because I didn't realize how unsexy prostate cancer was as a subject.
Right.
And how it's not that easy to get men to come see a movie about their prostate. So, so I realized I needed some help. And so that was the smartest thing I'd ever done, reaching out to the nonprofits and this national nonprofit called Zero, the End of Prostate Cancer. They just took me under their wing and just really, they wanted to help not only get the film out, but they're able to use the film as a catalyst to kind of, or as a conduit rather, to kind of connect to more African American men, which they were also struggling to really get into their programs and stuff to help. And so they are the ones who introduced me to, because they do a lot on the Hill, they do a lot of lobbying for funding for prostate cancer research. And so they were the ones who connected me to the Congressional Black Caucus, and we were able to screen our film on the Hill, which was a amazing thing. Like, I had never really been to DC before, so for me it was like, oh my god, like I am on Capitol
Oh,
Hill right now.
oh my God. I
Yes.
wouldn't even know how to react. I'm like this here, little old me in Congress. You know?
Exactly. And not only that, but it also opened my eyes to the need. And so I became an advocate with Zero, and now I go to the Hill every year and help lobby for research as well. So, and I've been been out speaking and doing speaking engagements and really trying to get men and their families more, make them more aware of how it's a disease that, if detected early, you can really, recover from it and be healed. And so, I tend to be the type of person that if I see a need, I'm gonna do something about it if I can. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, even though it didn't directly affect me at the time, um, it became a major thing for me because maybe 6 months into working on the film, my father was diagnosed with stage 1 prostate cancer. And so I was glad that I had the information to share with him, knew more about his prostate than he did at that point. But that made it even more, important to me. And seeing how my dad really didn't know, okay, yeah, he knew to get it checked every year, but he didn't really know what that meant, having prostate cancer. And so I was like, okay, if my dad doesn't know and he is on top of his health, there's got to be a lot of other men that don't either. And so it just became a mission for me.
And I really commend you for that. I really, really do. Taking, as you said so brilliantly, the prostate cancer, that's not a sexy topic. It's not,
Right.
it's not. As soon as you say that, like the whole room goes quiet. Like,
Right.
Really. But it is something that's important to talk about because, it does affect, African American men. And it's just, like you said, they don't really know about it. I personally feel, when we have, health subjects in school, we shouldn't be afraid to talk about something like that because it is
Yeah,
going to affect, men when they're older, and they should know the signs of it if it happens. So
exactly.
the fact that you were able to see the signs, and be able to give that information to your dad, that was probably like life changing for him. Like, hey, I'm so glad that my daughter knows so much about this, because
Yes, it was.
yeah,
And my dad has such a good, like, my dad is a very open man, so he, was a good sport and wasn't trying to hide anything from us, or, and I think that's what we're finding is a lot of it is just the stigma and taboo behind it,
yes,
more so than, then usually if they go and get tested or whatever, they're like, oh, it's not really that big of a deal. But getting past that stigma was the difficult part. And I feel like I was fortunate that my father is a very open person, but we had a few good laughs, of course.
of course. And it's good to have humor on it. But it's
Right.
just good to know that you knew so much about the subject that you were able to, give him that information. And I feel like it needs to be more of that.
Exactly.
Does it need to be a stigma or a taboo? Because it does happen.
Exactly. Mhm.
It's just, it's just the way sometimes how life goes sometimes, but it does happen. And instead of, making a taboo, I feel like arming, the men with knowledge and the info about it can be really life changing, and it can really start helping, the conversation become normalized to where, we could start finding more and more, maybe cures for it and everything.
Mhm.
We
Mhm.
just got to make it
Exactly.
more normalized and have this conversation. So
Exactly. I
I,
totally agree.
yes, I so love that you did that. So I think it's great. Going on to the number two question though, as a filmmaker, and as a director as well, what type of films do you like to bring to the forefront?
I tend to do films not intentionally, but as you can see, I'm about helping others, and bringing awareness to things. So, like, my very first film was about domestic violence. Again, wasn't a subject matter I was necessarily dealing with. It was
Mhm.
just when I sat down to write, that's what came to mind. And so that was my very first project. It was a silent movie. And then I did a short with some friends called She Rose, which was about four female superheroes with quirky superpowers. And that again was about empowering women and young girls. Um,
Mhm.
and then the documentary. I think the only things I've done that weren't like along those lines were movies that I was hired to direct, but they weren't necessarily my stories. But mostly now, like going forward, what I'm looking to do in the future is some horror stuff. I like horror, and I don't really, you don't really hear a lot about African American women doing horror projects. So I think it's kind of a fun thing to dive into. And so that's like my next thing is just kind of getting. I was like, I need, after doing the documentary, which that's been a big part of my life, touring, traveling with that, being an advocate, doing lectures. I was like, I need to blow something up or do some dismemberment
Love
because
it.
I've dealt with real life for way too long. I need some either romantic something or some death and dismemberment. So I think I'm going to do horror next.
I love it. No, I do. I love it because I agree with you. We need more, African American women in horror films because we can definitely be a game changer for that. I look
Exactly.
at, the performance of Lupita Nyong'o in Us.
Yes,
That
yes,
was like jaw dropping. That like left me with like goosebumps,
exactly.
and it's like I need more of that. So I
Hmm.
totally get what you mean. And which also brings me to my next question, Miss Nandi.
Hmm.
You do have a current film, Harper and Kelly. It's
Yes.
actually a zombie comedy film, which yes, need more zombie comedy films, by the way. Just I'm sorry, we do. I just love it. But
Well, it's not a comedy, just it is a zombie, but it's not comedy, just FYI.
but yeah, it's right.
Yeah.
It's somewhere in between with zombie and kind of talking about the pandemic and how we react. But
Right.
This film has been nominated, I want people to understand this, 9 awards at the Fantastic Horror Film Festival. That is
Yes.
awesome. That
Thank
is a
you.
hell of a feat. For one, I want to know, how does it feel to have your film Harper and Kelly be nominated for 9 awards? And what's the film about, and what brought you about making this film?
Well, first of all, I think it's hilarious that it's getting so much love because it was just a little film I did with my family during the lockdown, who none of them had any filmmaking experience. So I was teaching, directing, and acting in this movie. And so the fact that it did come out pretty well, considering, we were limited, but it was spawned from my organization, Women of Color Filmmakers. We were, in the lockdown, and everyone was like, Blondie, what are we going to do? Like, we need to be doing something, because before COVID, we were all meeting in person in a studio in North Hollywood, and we'd have various speakers and do various activities. And so they're like, well, what can we do? And so we decided to put on what we called the Lazaretto Film Festival, which was just us in the organization. And we each had to make a movie based on the word Lazaretto, which basically means to quarantine. And you had to use your family. If you were using outside actors, you could not have them, in, because we were still in lockdown at the time. So you had to shoot them either via Zoom or some type of remote shooting. But you could only have your family or people that you live with if you had roommates, and that was it. So it was funny when I decided to do this. I was like, okay, well, I'll make it a love story. So mine is actually called Harper and Kelly, a Lazaretto love story, because you had to have Lazaretto somewhere in your title. And basically, it's about a couple who are dealing with something that happens during the quarantine. And she has to make a decision, either to let this person go or to stay in this kind of enclosed, locked up situation with this potential zombie person. So it was fun. My significant other, who is a musician, not an actor, it was him and I as the leads. And then we had a couple other actors, some fabulous actors, Karen Eileen Gordon, who's actually was in Florida at the time. We shot her via Zoom, and then we used her as our news anchor. And then Candace Callens, also shot her via Zoom. She played my sister. But we were able to pull this off, and even the awesome makeup. My sister is a hair and makeup artist, but she is not a special effects artist, but she did an excellent job making zombie makeup and, the blood and gore and goo. And she was just like, this is not what I do. I said, I know, but just watch some YouTube tutorials. You could do it. And she did. And then my my brother-in-law, her husband, he runs an AV company. He does like pipe and drape and lighting for events. So his entire business was shut down, of course. And so I taught him lighting, and he already had an understanding of lighting because he does AV, but I taught him camera movement and, taught him how, I wanted him to push in and stuff. And so as a family, we made this little movie. My nephew did sound, and and it really worked out, but it was fun because it was, like I said, I was teaching them, and now they've got the bug. Well, my sister is not trying to go into special effects, but my brother-in-law now went out and bought a Black Magic Pocket 6K, and he's shooting stuff now. And so
I love
I
that.
created monsters for real.
I love that. That is awesome. When a family pulls together now, look what they can create. And they didn't
Exactly.
even know that they have this talent for it. They just, yeah, I love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, and it was funny because, like, my significant other, he's getting a lot of love for his acting performance in in the movie, and he's like shocked by it. I said, well, I made sure I wrote it in the way that he talks, so that was the key too, to make sure it would be a success. It was like, okay, I know him so well that I made sure it was his voice, so it wasn't hard for him to play the characters, but he did an excellent job. I was like, okay, if you win, you're not, because he's nominated in the
Yes,
Fantastic
yes, he
Four.
is.
I'm like, if you win this, are you going to start acting? He was like, I don't know.
That would be awesome, though. And kudos to you. I mean, honestly, how cool is that to say, I directed a film that now my significant other got nominated for? Like,
Right.
I would be bragging. Like, there'd be no more arguments. Like, I would always bring that up. Like, there'd be no arguments. You can't argue with me, man. Remember that film I put you in? You got
Right.
nominated. You got
Right.
I'm just saying. That's just me. That's how petty I would be. Don't argue with me.
I
I put
love
you
it.
I put you in that one film, remember? You got nominated, and I do believe you won. So you're welcome.
Exactly. So there you go. Exactly.
Oh my God, I love that. I think that's really awesome, though. And I'm so glad that it's getting so much love because, like I said, 9 nominations. That's got to be a very proud moment for you because that's just awesome. Uh,
Yes, yes, it is. Thank you so much.
no problem. Going on to the number 4 question, Landi. In your own opinion, what's the best project you put out so far?
I think for me right now would definitely be the documentary because it's such a moving piece and it's been saving lives. We had a man come to a screening who told me he had so this is kind of stuff that started happening and he was like, okay, I need some help because I don't know how to handle all of this. But there's a man who came, he heard about the screening. We were screening it in Houston, Texas. I had partnered with this church, Good Hope Missionary Baptist Church, and they had gotten us on the early morning local news, Fox News, in the morning. And so we had been talking about the screening later that day and, getting people out. So he saw us and he came to me and he says, I saw you on the news this morning. I have stage 4 prostate cancer and I want to kill myself. And I was like, oh my
Dear,
God, oh my God, I
that's
am not
woo.
equipped to handle this.
No,
Like,
I don't blame you. Woo, that's deep. That's heavy.
yes, and so I was able to get him help. I just latched on. It was funny at first. Like after a while, he started laughing at me because, I grabbed his arm and was just walking around with him, holding his arm, just talking to him and looking for, we had some men there who are in the movie who I wanted to talk to him because one of the men definitely had gone through every possible treatment, had every possible side effect, but yet he was doing so well. And so I was like, okay, let me see if I could find him. I'd sent people to look for him. And I just kind of talked to the gentleman for a minute and he was really cute. He was like, sweetie, you're really nice, but I need to talk to a man. And I was like,
Oh,
I get it, but I get it because it's a sensitive subject, you know what I mean? And so I got him to speak with our the gentleman who's in our film. He stuck around for the screening. And then afterwards he stood up and said thank you because he felt like he was alone. And I realized that there's probably a lot of men that feel this way. And
hmm,
that's why I continue to advocate making sure I always had a health professional. After that, I always had a health professional every screening. And I also had a counselor or some way for them to connect to getting some type of help if they were struggling with this, like a mentor, because I saw the value in having this gentleman talk to a man who's been there and understood what he was dealing with. And that's not something I'm capable of giving him, but if I could provide that, that was important to me. And so that to me has probably been my biggest and most amazing accomplishment because I know that through a film, we were able to save that man's life. You know what I mean? And other men have said, you know what? I saw your movie, didn't have prostate cancer, had colon cancer, but now I'm getting treatment and doing good. You know what I mean? Like
that's
hearing these things.
yeah, that is
Yeah,
amazing. That is absolutely jaw-dropping and amazing at the same time,
yeah,
honestly. When your film can touch people like that to where they can save lives, then you know you're doing good. You know
exactly.
your films is affecting in a positive way. So
Exactly.
that is awesome. That really is.
Exactly. I
Uh,
mean, I'll probably go on to do some other fun stuff, but I think that will always be something that I never foresaw coming. I just thought I was putting out information that people didn't know, but that you never know. And I think this is good for all filmmakers to know. You never know how something you do will affect someone's life. And even if you're not doing a documentary, like if you're bringing awareness about a subject, even through a narrative film, um, it can really bless someone. So if you're even trying to market your film, don't be afraid to reach out to nonprofits because a lot of them need film projects to be able to connect to communities and
yep.
get more eyeballs on what it is that they're trying to accomplish or the communities they're trying to serve. So definitely think about that because you just never know. We have an awesome ability to bring awareness to things
Yes.
that I worked on a film. I was not the director. I was the first AD on a film called Broken about a mother who's dealing with her 21-year-old daughter who's diagnosed with schizophrenia. That's something that never crossed my mind till I worked on that movie. You know what I mean? Like, it
Yeah,
was like, wow, I'm just worried about my kid just, being coming home late. Like,
exactly.
so
Exactly. But you are right though, you are right. Filmmakers, they do have a chance to really affect lives and their communities with their films and the message they're trying to bring out. So
exactly,
it is something that yeah, they definitely should think about because you never know who's watching and who's just really moved by the
exactly.
work that you put out. So
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
agree to that.
Exactly.
Going on to the number 5 question, I want to make sure, Londi, that my audience keeps up with you and your work. Where are you on social media?
Oh, sure. So I'm on Instagram at Landi.Maduro. So Landi dot Maduro, Maduro. You can also find me, my business is Blue Child Entertainment. So you can look for me on my website at bluechildentertainment.com. Also through Women of Color Filmmakers, womenofcolorfilmmakers.com. Those are probably the main places. I am on Facebook too, but not as much.
Right.
Instagram seems to be more of the best place to find me.
And of course, I highly encourage my audience. Make sure you follow Miss Landy Maduro on all on Facebook, on her Blue Child Entertainment website, and check her out on the social media platforms as well. Because we definitely want to see more of her work, and we definitely want to keep up with her work as well. So I highly
Thank,
encourage everyone to do that.
thank
Uh,
you.
of course. Going on to the number 6 question, what future projects are you involved with that you can dish about to the J Lounge audience?
So definitely I am a project I'm in love with that I'm working on right now. Is that was a question?
Yep.
Oh, okay, cool. So I just these two this project actually that I just finished. It's I was first AD. I was not the director, but I love the project. It's a female boxing movie called Lola
Ooh.
2. I definitely suggest you guys check it out. It is very empowering. Again, another movie that's very empowering about a female boxer in the industry who's struggling with. She's married, she's had a family, but she had her first child and she's being torn between being a mother and being a boxer, which is her love. So this is the second installment of this movie. The first one right now is on Tubi. Lola 1 is on Tubi right now, and Lola 2 will be coming out next year in March for Women's Month. So I'm really excited
Yes.
about that project. We had a fun time working on it. It stars Taja Simpson, who just was on Insecure. She had a cameo on Insecure, or guest star on Insecure, that just aired this past week. Um,
Ooh.
she's also on The Oval. And so, yeah, and then we also have in that movie Elise Neal, Jackie Long, and Tamala Jones. So we had a lot of fun on that set. Um, and then for my own personal projects, I do have a horror project that I'm hoping to have out next year. I can't really dish too much on it because we're still kind of in the pre-production phase and still
Mhm.
working things out, but I'm very excited about that. And other than that, I still have my production company, so I shoot a lot of industrial stuff for my clients. So I do a lot of small business commercials and tutorials. So between those two things and women of color filmmakers and all the things we're doing there, I'm pretty busy with those projects.
That sounds exciting, though. That sounds like
Yeah.
a jam-packed schedule. So definitely make sure you keep the J Lounge. Definitely keep us posted because we definitely want to make sure that we keep up with all your recent projects. So it sounds exciting. It does. Sounds super
It
exciting.
is. It is. And
I'm so excited for you.
I'm really excited about women of color filmmakers. So I have to brag on this because actually that's what's been keeping me busy. We launched our film lab this year. So we had a film lab. It was a 6-month lab. So we took our filmmakers. We had 13 new filmmakers. So some of them had done some little projects, but for the most part, they were new. They'd maybe done documentaries or something like that. So there's a first time most of them had done a narrative project as a director. So we took them from the writing process, pre-production, production, and post. And we had mentors. They had a lot of classes, workshops. all done virtually because we're still coming out of COVID, and then we screen them all at our summer film challenge virtually. And almost all the filmmakers, they've gotten their movies in festivals, they're winning awards. Like, it was such a beautiful testament to what can happen when you really work with filmmakers and help them to develop their craft in a way that's true to their artistry. And so I'm so proud of that. And now we are gearing up for 2022. So we're having our anniversary on November 19th, and we're really excited about that. We're raising funds for that. So this organization it definitely keeps me busy, but it's such a proud thing to, I'm so proud of it because we're really helping women who either first coming out of film school, or maybe they've raised their children and thought, I always wanted to do that, but I don't know if I can, and now they're coming back, and as their second career are pursuing their dream that they always had. And so our group is so diverse, not just in ethnicity, but also in age range. And so I that makes me proud because you hear, oh well, I'm too old to do that, especially in our industry, in entertainment. You hear that often, but we're proving that that is not the case, and that these women can make dynamic films because they have stories to tell from the life they've lived if they're older, you know what I mean? And so,
Exactly.
yeah, so
Exactly.
that's my big that's my baby. That's probably one of the biggest projects that I've been working on for sure.
Sounds exciting. Sounds absolutely exciting. Like I said, cannot wait to see more. Make sure you keep us posted here at the J Lounge because I definitely want to know more.
For sure.
Alrighty. So just got four more questions for you. Going on to the number seven. What goals do you hope to still accomplish in your filmmaking career that you haven't yet?
Oh, sure. For me, I definitely would love to. I have some definitely film projects that I really want to develop. And my goal is to, of course, I'd love to see big screen. But I think for me, just really managing that business aspect of filmmaking better. And I know a lot of us suffer from this as creatives. We forget that business portion. And so really working on developing business plans for my project. I've been very good at doing that in business as far as my production company, but with my own personal projects, making sure I'm really developing those. And continuing to put out things that make people think. Like, I love projects that make you think. It doesn't
Yes.
always have to be something deep, you know what I mean? But if I always say, to the women in my organization, you don't have to answer all the questions at the end of your movie. Let people walk away talking, because guess what? They're going to want to come back and learn more or see more by you. Or maybe, and here we go with business, a way for you to have a sequel. And now you got a
Exactly.
franchise.
Exactly. But you're right. You are right. So
Yeah.
I definitely agree with that. And oh, I definitely am gonna Memphis those goals for you.
Thank you.
2022. Ooh, it's gonna be your year. And I'm just gonna call it
Thank
out
you,
there.
girl. Thank
I'm just
you.
putting it out there, I'm just putting it
I
out
love
there.
it.
I just report it, I'm not I report the news. That's all I do. That's all I do.
Thank you so much. I love it. I'm claiming it, claiming
Yes,
it.
yes. It is look, okay? Y'all thought in 2021, look, 2020 year two is going to be, I'm gonna put it out there, the year of the black women. If
That's
y'all don't
right.
know, y'all don't, you know now. Just saying.
That's right. That's
She said
right.
that's
That's
right.
right.
She said I'm just saying. We were playing a little nice in 2021, but now in 2022, we're just gonna claim it all. I
That's
put it out
right.
there. Oh. All right, Ms. Landi, I got three more questions for you. Name three actors you would love to work with on a film and why.
Oh, okay. Three actors I would love to work with on a film. Oh my goodness. I would definitely love to work with, um, I mean, who wouldn't want to work with Viola Davis?
Of course. Oh my God.
I mean, I would be honored. I would have to take a moment, especially if I was directing it, to not be starstruck for 2 seconds and really
Right?
put it together.
Oh my
Um,
goodness.
but yeah, I would love to work with a project with her, especially a project that's not super mainstream, that's like really gritty and really makes you think, like I said, I like stuff like that. So definitely I'd love to work with her. This is just off the top of my head because I hadn't really thought about this. But you know who I am just a fan of is Hugh Jackman. Like
Yes.
about him is just as a person, like when you watch BTS stuff too, you know, of him on set, I would definitely love to work with him. Um, and then um who else would I love to work with? Oh my gosh, my mind is going blank.
You're good. You got one more. You got one more.
Oh, who else? Oh gosh, I'm gonna think about this later. Like, oh, I didn't say this person. Um, uh, Geez, I would definitely love to work with Lupita too. Lupita Nyong, I would love to work
Yes.
with her for sure.
Yes, yes, yes to all of those. Yes. Especially Hugh Jackman. Especially if
Yeah.
it's Hugh Jackman and he's like shirtless for a good 5 minutes, then I'm like, you can take all my money. All of it.
Right. Right.
You can take all my money. If we can have him shirtless for a good 5 solid minutes, I would never complain again. I'm good.
Exactly.
I am so good.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh. But no, those are really great actors, especially like you said, Viola Davis. She is an outstanding. I mean, she's just there's nothing she can't do or play. So
Exactly.
it's Lupita Nyong'o is the same way. I mean, when they're on the screen, you can't help but be focused on them the entire time because they're commanding that screen. They don't just on that screen; they command it. You just
Oh,
can't
for
help it.
sure.
Mm,
Hmm. So
wonderful
that means
choices.
you got to be on top of your job to as a filmmaker to make sure you are capturing that. You know, that's what we work
Exactly.
on a lot in my organization. How are you revealing? If your actor's giving you this phenomenal performance, you better be on top of those camera angles, that lighting, the camera movement. Really think about your art direction. Like you don't want to sleep on a talent like that. You know what I mean? And that
Exactly.
excites me as a filmmaker because I know those type of actors are going to give me 110%. So I want to make sure my pre-production is tight so that I can portray them in the best light possible
Of
from
course.
as a filmmaker. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah, no, I totally understand what you mean by there. I was watching the behind the scenes for Training Day because it's taken me forever to actually fully watch Training Day. I would watch it and fall asleep.
Really?
Yeah, I would watch it, fall asleep right in the middle, and then I wake up in the end every single time. So finally, I was able to watch
Oh,
it. I was able to watch the behind the scenes, and the director, I can't think of his name right now. Can't think of his
Antoine
name.
Fuqua.
Thank you, thank you. I remember him. He was stating that one scene where Denzel just goes off on this entire crew, just goes off.
Hmm.
Uh, it's like one of the best scenes in the film.
Hmm.
But it was completely unscripted. It was completely improvised by Denzel Washington. You know, when like the whole thing was done, like both him and Denzel Washington were just like, damn, I hope you caught that. He's like, yes, I did. He says it was just like a really great, like, it was like, he couldn't just, he was just in awe. He was like, first of all, I was just in awe of Denzel coming up with that whole speech on point like that. Just the
Hmm.
whole thing was just absolutely phenomenal. And so it's just,
And
yeah, it
I
is.
think that's so
Mhm.
important as a director to know when to let your actors do that. Like,
Yes,
don't be so quick to say cut. Leave that moment at the end. I think especially I see this a lot with indie filmmakers. Give them a little time at the end. Or if they start ad-libbing, wait to see what the camera captures. Like Denzel's definitely an actor who's known for doing that. There's a
yes.
what movie was I think uh what was the bank robbing movie he did?
Oh, yes, 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 yes. I know exactly with Jodie Foster.
Yes.
Yes, yes, I know exactly. Oh, it's one of my favorite movies of all time. But I know exactly what you're saying, though. Yes.
He there's a scene where he's talking, he's just in he's talking and explaining what they found or whatever, and he sneezes and then he's like, oh, excuse me, and he just kept going. As it's like anyone else would be like, oh, are you okay, you need, you good, but it was because in conversation that's how we talk. You may be talking, you cough for a second, you keep talking or whatever, and so
Exactly.
it makes it authentic. Like I always tell the women in our organization, like, don't be afraid of the close-ups because close-ups are really how you reveal stuff. And I feel like we tend to stay on medium wides or wide shots a lot. Don't be afraid of the close-ups, and don't be afraid to let them riff. Let them
Yes.
riff and capture that, because you never know what you're going to get. That really, they've, if you've done your job well with your script and you've done the good character development, they're going to start to interpret that and add their own um, artistry to it. And sometimes
Exactly.
that goes away from the script. We talk about all the time in our organization how, okay, if you're the writer director, you got to put that writer's hat down, put on that director's hat, and know that a lot of your script is about to get cut.
Yes.
you know, because the talent is going to add things. Maybe there's going to be issues because you can't, you weren't able to get all the awesome that RE mini you wanted to shoot with, you couldn't get it, or that special light that was going to add this effect. So now you got to be able to pivot, right? And so definitely when you got actors like that, man, you got to be able to let them add. I think the Joker's a great example of that, right? I mean,
Yes.
Joaquin Phoenix added so much to that character that it was like, okay, what we wrote here, let him just go. He's developed this character into something that's so, yes, it's dark, but it's fascinating. Okay, so now this scene no longer makes sense. Let him just dance in the bathroom. You know what I
Exactly. But no,
mean?
you're right though. That's when the true acting, and that's when you can capture something truly remarkable. That's how some of the best scenes in the world happen, is if you let
Yep,
the actors, let them fully act, let them say what they got to say, let them do the whole thing. Don't interrupt,
that's
because you
right.
never know what you're going to capture. It's going
That
to
is
it's
so
it's
true.
and you never know what that scene will do for the rest of cinema history, because Trading Day is one of the best films in cinema history, and
Hmm.
it's one of that scenes that really cements, Denzel Washington, one of the best actors of his age and of his generation. I mean, there's never
Hmm.
going to be anyone like him. So
Right.
it's just, yeah, it's stuff like that. So I completely agree. All right, Miss Londi, just got two more questions before you going on to the number nine. What are some of your passions outside of filmmaking and directing?
Oh, sure. Outside of filmmaking and directing, definitely teaching. I didn't even realize that was in me, but I love teaching, especially helping new filmmakers um, find ways to really tell their stories. I am
Hmm.
really about visual storytelling. So definitely teaching and helping others find that, how is it that they want to develop that within themselves. Didn't even realize I love teaching until I started Women of Color Filmmakers, but I definitely love teaching and helping others. I think I got that from my mom. My mom, um, she took in a lot of kids when I was a kid. Started with our friends who had issues. Like I had a girlfriend who was having some problems at home. I came home one day and said, "Oh, she's going to be living with us now. Is that cool?" I was like, "Yeah, that's awesome." She's my best friend. It's like having a sister my age because my sister's younger than me. So it's like, oh yeah. And my brother had a friend. He ended up living with us too because of him, because he was a foster kid. My mom got her foster care license and started taking in kids from all over the world. And so, if you were hungry, it was like, "Come on, baby, come get something to eat." And so I think that mentality definitely carried on to me wanting to help others achieve the things that they want to achieve. So definitely teaching and helping. Um, and then I'm a very creative person. I used to have a candle business, so I haven't done it in a while because I've been so busy. But I like making candles. It's fun. It's relaxing. And then they smell good. You burn them around the house. It's great.
She said, they smell good, I love it. But that's incredible. The teaching, the creativity, that's awesome. It definitely goes hand in hand.
Yes.
So it's that's amazing. I really love that. I especially love the candles. So if you have any extra candles, I'm just saying,
Okay, that's good
I
to
might want to buy some candles off of
know.
Dell. I mean, we gotta talk sense. We gotta talk sense.
Right, right. I hear you. I just send you some. You don't have to buy.
All righty. All right, Ms. Londi, got the last question for you. What's been some of the most rewarding moments of your career?
The most rewarding moments of my career, um, again, probably definitely the documentary, knowing that we've saved lives with that film.
Hmm.
Um, also, just um, hearing women in my organization tell me that I make them believe that they can do anything. I've had a few of them tell me that, because my friends joke and say, I didn't even realize that this was something that I do. But one of my best friends said to me, "You've been like this since you were 15 years old." But I have a knack of to push people outside of their comfort zone, to do things outside of their comfort zone. And so, I used to make them model for me when I was doing photography, and which she wasn't a model, but I would get her to model. I'm good at getting people to do that kind of stuff. And I think that has parlayed into what I do in Women of Color filmmakers. And so some of them have definitely said to me, we have one woman this year who she's on her third movie within a year, her third short film, and she's winning awards. And she said to me, "Why do you make me believe I can do anything?" And I thank you for that. And it's just moving, because I definitely didn't set out to do that, to inspire people in that way. I just knew there was a need that I needed, what I was feeling as a woman of color behind the camera.
Mm-hmm.
And I, wanted to be able to help other women of color, tell their stories. And then starting to see, wait, why is it that Muslim women are always portrayed this way? Why is it that Asian women, we're not hearing more of their stories? Why is it we don't ever see Native American stories? Like,
For
why is
real.
who's talking about colorism in Cuba? Like, nobody's talking about these things. So even beyond being a Black woman, it was like, I'm seeing all these women open my eyes to the things that are happening to them culturally, and now their stories are being told, and they're telling me that I inspire them. And I'm like, wow.
That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah. That is one heck of a feeling. And that's incredible. That
Yeah.
really is incredible that you're able to kind of, inspire people in that way. It really is. We help them bring out their, come out of their comfort zone and experience new things. That is incredible.
Yes, I
That is
agree. Thank
incredible.
you. I agree. It's an incredible feeling. And that's why, when you hear people say, if you bless someone else, you will be blessed, right? If you give to someone else, you're receiving the gift too. And it's so true, because when you give without the intention of it being reciprocated, you'll be surprised the doors that open for you, the things that will happen for you. Definitely, like I said, never in a million years did I anticipate that being the case. But now seeing how these women are growing, going on, and doing big things, it inspires me to continue growing and going on and doing big things. On days when I feel tired and I'm like, I don't feel like doing this today, I'm like, no, I've got almost 1,000 women that are rooting and cheering for me just as much as I cheer for them. I need to make sure that I'm setting the right examples, that I'm not giving up, because I didn't tell them it was easy for sure. So, but
Right.
they're still grinding, right? So it's a blessing to me too, because it's a reminder. When we did that quick little film festival where I did Harper and Kelly, I was it was during the lockdown, and I was nervous. I had lost all my business because of COVID, and I was like, okay, Lord, what are we doing? Like, what's happening? We got no, there's nothing coming in. It was before they had started giving us funding, for small businesses and stuff. And so, um, when the ladies came to me and like, can we do something? And I was like, yes, we can. And that got me out of that funk of worrying about what am I going to do, and then the woo woo woos, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I now had something else to focus on. And then things did start happening. So you never know how you'll be blessed when you give and help other people. And I think it's truly important to do that, because, indie filmmaking is not easy. It's hard,
Right.
but there's always opportunities to grow and learn when you're open and willing to help others.
Absolutely. And I completely totally agree with that. It's indie filmmaking, it's not easy, but when you connect together, you never know how ways in many ways you can be blessed. You never
Hmm.
know.
Hmm.
So it's
Exactly.
it's important to just pass it forward. You know, the table should be long enough to fit everybody, and everyone should be able to tell the type of stories that they need to tell. So I completely
Exactly. And you don't have, there is room at the top for everyone, because your story, yes, we may be Black women, but your stories are going to be different than mine due to our life experiences, and that's the part where I feel like there's always a cap on things. But we're all from different places. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
I'm from the Pacific Northwest, right? My story is different than somebody who's from Texas or Louisiana or Southern California. So um, being open to that, and really making sure that you're getting out there and sharing, and just on a human basis, not necessarily, a story specific to your ethnicity, but how do you move through life as this type of person? Those stories are interesting. And I think, because it is informed by not only your experiences, but your ethnic background. Doesn't mean you necessarily have to dive into that, but it's going to inform story, and so I just think it's important. We need more stories out there from people of diverse backgrounds. And I think it will also help some of the craziness we see going on in the world today, because now
I
you can
agree.
see how other people live their lives. You know what I mean? So,
I
yeah, that's
totally
my
agree.
soapbox. I know I can go on my soapbox,
No, you're
but
good
I
because I
do think it's
agree. I
important.
agree. Everything you said is I truly agree with. So because it is true, there's enough room at the top for everyone to tell their stories. It's important because this is
Mhm.
how we connect as human beings. This is how we learn from each other. It's important. So,
Exactly.
I totally agree with you. But Miss Londi, you have been an absolute pleasure to be able to speak with today. I appreciate you so much for coming on here and talking about your work, talking about your story, letting my audience get to know you. I really appreciate you giving us your time.
Thank you so much for having me. I truly enjoyed it. It was fun. Thank you so
Oh,
much.
oh, absolutely. It was our honor. It was our honor. Of course, I want to encourage my audience. Make sure you do support Landi Maduro. Make sure you check out her Blue Child Entertainment website. Make sure you check out her filmmaking work and all her exciting new projects that she will be having hopefully next year. Make sure you guys keep posted up with that and just make sure you be able to support her because, like I said earlier, 2022 is going to be the year of the Black women, and if you don't know, you know now. So just get on the train now. So, but I do appreciate everyone for listening in. I want to thank my amazing guest, Miss Landi Maduro, one more time. Of course, you guys know I have been your hostess with the mostest, Miss J. I'll be back with another great episode of the J Lounge here soon. But I want to wish everyone a happy Halloween. Be safe out there, and I'll be back
Yes.
soon. Bye.
Yes. Thank you so much. Bye, guys.